by Nick. Nick, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great, and it's good to be back. It's been a few months, since college basketball. I'm finally back on.
Absolutely, dude. It's not college basketball today, but it is NFL. So we're getting a couple things set up here as on the Instagram. But then we will go ahead and get going. So today we're talking NFC East, AFC East. Kind of just some predictions on there, just running through how we think it's going to go. And I'll tell you what, dude, the NFC East is just a division I'm not a fan of personally. And the AFC East is just going to be hectic this year. Kind of
100%.
initially, what are your first thoughts here with the NFC East, AFC East? Or we'll start with
For
the NFC.
NFC,
We'll start
NFC.
NFC here.
Once again, I think honestly for the NFC East, I think it's the Eagles' division to lose.
Yep.
I mean, you look at it, you got all these people saying, "Well, you always got the Cowboys. The Cowboys are there. They might have got rid of Zeke, but they're going to be a good team again." I just honestly, I don't see it.
Yeah.
You look at the
Well,
training camp so far with Dak, he's still consistently throwing interceptions, he's making
yep.
stupid passes, and it just doesn't really seem to change.
Yeah. I saw the one video on Twitter is a bunch of people were trying to justify his interception he threw to Brandon Cooks. He's targeting, and it might not even been Brandon Cooks, might have been somebody else, but the dude was a 5'8" guy receiver, and Dak threw him a jump ball to double covered, you know,
Yeah,
a double covered 5'8" receiver, and everybody on Twitter is just flaming Dak like, this isn't Des Bryant anymore, right? Like you can't just do that,
exactly.
you can't get away with it. And not that he played with Des Bryant that much, but still, right? So I think I'm not a fan of Dak Prescott at all. I think it's because it's America's team, right? Is why he gets so much hype. But dude, he's just the offense has pieces to be good, but at the same time, I look at what you had last year. You had C.D. Lamb, you had Dalton Schultz, you had Zeke and Pollard,
Yep.
um, and then you come this year, you don't have Schultz anymore. He goes to Houston. You only have Pollard. You have Deuce Vaughn, which cool story, right? But like not
Yeah.
for rookie year. We're not nobody's expecting him to be phenomenal, right? And
5'5", he ain't bringing you much.
he was electric in college, but he can't bring that much to the NFL table, especially as a rookie. But I mean, you're looking at a team that's offensively just got worse. Their defense is still elite, though, I think, and that's their only way the only way they're gonna be that dominant team that everybody's talking about them is if Micah Parsons, Trayvon Diggs, and that defense just elevate to that next level, like that 49ers level of defense, I
Yeah.
think.
No, I agree.
But
I think they're going to be a team that is going to live and die by defense, and in the
mhm,
NFL, that's kind of hard to do. I mean,
mhm.
everyone says defense does win championships, but you've looked at these teams that have won past Super Bowls, and they have had so much firepower on the offense event
Mhm.
that they've almost made it possible where they can just outscore people.
No, you're completely right. I think the only Super Bowl I can really think of in recent history where defense won it was Tampa Bay's against Kansas City, and when
Yeah,
Mahomes no time to throw the ball, no time to do anything, right? What's up, Ryan? Thanks for joining the stream, man. But I didn't see, the Tampa Bay didn't have any, any or Kansas City didn't have anything going against Tampa Bay's defense. But you look at like, the Bengals and the Rams, game you know, Rams got a lot of sacks, right? But like, there's the defense was not what won that championship, right?
no,
In the past, I mean, we saw the 49ers, right? Dominant defensive force. But look how far they made it last year, right? As soon as they came up
exactly.
against with both aspects, right? A great defense and a good offense, great offense, the Eagles thrashed them. So, I mean, I just think it's kind of uh, if Dak's going to turn the ball over all the time, you can't have your defense taking over in their own territory two times a game and expect to win games.
Yeah, I mean, you look at what he said before they went into training camp and all the preseason. He's like, "There's no way I throw over 10 interceptions." That's the biggest bold faced lie I've ever heard in my life. He's
Oh my
gonna
gosh,
throw over
yeah.
10. He does it all the time. He's the king of in games and situations where he will just not learn to throw the ball away or, try a little dump down. He's gonna try to go deep, and almost every time it turns into an interception.
He plays like I play in Madden. Like
Yeah, that's
the
literally
like
exactly how he plays.
if I throw an interception, like who cares, right? Like
Yeah, it's like
that's and
whatever.
you can't actually win championships like that. But you know what I'm looking forward to is I'm looking forward to watching First Take and hearing, who is it on First Take that's a huge Dallas Cowboys homer? I forget who
Stephen
it is,
A.
but Stephen A always hates on the Cowboys. I forget who it is that is a Cowboys lover.
It
But
used to be
either way,
Kellerman. Might have
it
been
used to be,
Kellerman,
dude.
but I
I don't know.
think they
Well,
got rid of
ESPN
him.
just went through that big, like they just wiped everybody off of
Yeah,
their.
they just got rid of everybody.
I
Like
know. I
even
was waiting
people
for us
that
to
they
get
were
the
paying
call.
like literally, like they were paying some of these guys like $3-4 million a year, and they were just like, all right, see ya.
Yeah. So, but I'm just looking forward to First Take. The Cowboys are going to start the season, 5-2 or something, and they'll beat bad teams. I'll look up their schedule right now.
Say every
And
year, that's how it usually goes.
I'll go ahead and share this real quick too, so then everybody can see where what we're looking at. But dude, I mean, it's going to be, so we're looking at first game, they have the Giants, and then they go Jets, Cardinals, Patriots, 49ers, Chargers. So they have a difficult schedule to be early, to be quite honest, though. Like,
Yeah, I mean, you're starting game one at the Giants.
dude,
I mean, I don't love that for them. And then
mm-mm.
you got the Jets coming into town with Aaron Rodgers. I don't like that for them either.
No, Cardinals is going to be a walkover. I mean, Kyler won't be back yet. That'll be a walkthrough game. Patriots, I don't think the Patriots are going to be very good this year either.
Yeah,
You can add 12 Juju Smith-Schusters to that team, and they still wouldn't score above
exactly.
20
They're
points a
still
game.
not going to be good with Mac Jones.
And then you go at 2 San Francisco and 2 Los Angeles.
Eesh.
Yeah, that's a tough stretch of 3 games there or 4 games
Or
going
yeah,
from 49ers, Chargers, Rams, Eagles. This Cowboys team, to be quite honest with you, I'm going to say they beat the Giants. I'll say lose to the Jets 1-1, 2-1 with the Cardinals win, 3-1 here. But, loss, we'll even be generous and give them a win. We'll say they're 4-2. I'm going to say they're going 1-1 between the Rams and the Chargers. 4-3, 4-4. They're going to be probably 500 at best, is what I would say, through
probably
whatever it
10
is,
games.
8 games. Yeah. Yeah, dude, that's just going to be tough for them. Ryan, talk about some soccer podcasts. I don't know, dude. It's got to be coming soon because Prem's 3 days away now. So we'll get a few guys on here and talk some soccer here soon. But I don't know, dude.
I'm
hyped
not
for.
much of a soccer guy, but what Messi's doing right now in the MLS is just actually hilarious. It shows how like geared down the MLS really is. Because
Well,
it's
I think it kind of shows
insane.
that. I think it also shows how like elite he is, right? Like, I think. Well, the
It's
thing that's fun
crazy.
is it like you just said, you're not a soccer guy, but you've been paying attention to what he's doing here. Like that's exactly what
Yeah, it's
like
crazy.
is perfect for his move to America, to the MLS, is because now we have like, for the growth of the sport aspect, is you have people that don't follow it starting to follow it, even if they're only following him, but yeah, Ryan's saying shows how bad MLS
Yeah,
is,
I
man.
agree. It just shows how bad like he's tearing up the MLS. It'll be interesting to see how he does against FCC when they come to town
I'll
later
be there,
this
dude.
month.
I'll
I
be
mean, I
there.
saw the tickets like skyrocketed from like you could get one for like $20 or something, and now it's like no less than 300.
Yeah. No, I got mine discounted from a friend, but they were like still like mid 200s for
Damn,
each ticket. So I'm going with a buddy, but yeah, dude, it's
that
gonna be
would be
just fun to
insane.
see him, right? Like
Once in a
just to be in
lifetime
the same
opportunity.
yeah, just to be in the same building as somebody that good is just like wild, right?
Yeah,
But
that's insane.
but we'll go back to football here and talk about the football some other time. But dude, I'm telling you what, the the thing that the Cowboys have going for them is they get to play Washington twice,
Yeah, and I
which
saw
is
on there that
nice.
they get the Panthers,
Yep, they get the
which
Panthers there as well. But
that
dude, I'll
should
tell you
be
what,
a W.
the divisions that they drew the AFC. Is it the AFC West here? I'm trying to figure out which divisions they drew
I think they
because they
got the
drew the
AFC
AFC
East.
East,
Yeah,
and then I don't see which other ones they got. The NFC West is who they got as
Yeah.
well, right?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Because I don't know, maybe because I just see the 49ers there. Oh, 49ers,
Uh.
Rams.
Yeah, and they got the Seahawks.
Yep, Seahawks. Okay, yep. No. So NFC, dude, those are two hard divisions to draw. I
And then you
mean,
get a game. You get a game against the Lions too, who are picked to finish first in their division as well.
yeah. Dude, so I mean we'll go from Dallas to the Giants now. The Giants in camp today, Daniel Jones got eaten alive by Detroit's defense, is what everything I saw. I
Yeah.
mean, he looked bad, which I'll tell you what, dude, when they paid him, I was not a fan of the deal from the Giants perspective then, and I don't think I ever will be because it just like he's just not a great quarterback, and paying him 40 mil a year is just extremely
Disgusting.
overpaying to my in my opinion at least.
No, I definitely agree. I mean, you look at him. What I mean, okay, he led you to a playoff or whatever. I mean, he's been good. He's gotten you to around 500, but it's like, has he really been that guy where you're willing to pay him 40 million a year, but you're gonna sit there and on top of the fence when you have one of the best running backs in Saquon Barkley and you refuse to give
Yep.
him a contract? I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
understand it's changed in the NFL to where it's like, oh, well, now you look at your running backs, you can easily interchange them. You can beat the Chiefs. You can go out and draft Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the first round. And then the next year you draft Pacheco in the sixth. But that doesn't
Yep.
always work out. You have one of
No.
the best running backs in the league. Pay him. Why are you only giving him a 1 year deal for $11 million? Like,
And
you got to pay him.
the other thing too is that if you look at Saquon, the dude is a freak like of nature. Like
I
if
mean,
you're concerned with injuries, he has had an injury written past, and every single time comes back years before he should have. Like
yeah,
he
it's
has
crazy.
a high ankle sprain. He's out 6 to 8 weeks. He's playing 4 weeks later. Like
Exactly.
the injuries are not an issue for him, right? Tears his ACL, he's back in like 8 months, right? And not like
Yeah.
back in 8 months, like starting to do contact, like playing in 8 months, right? So I don't understand that. Is if you're going to refuse to pay him, how are you going and saying we're going to go pay Daniel Jones though? I don't understand that. But I will say, playing devil's advocate here is Daniel Jones. What has he had to throw the ball to in past years, right? I mean,
Yeah.
he really hasn't had anything. Now you get Darren Waller at least, right? So maybe he's gonna be able to get something. I don't know. We'll see. I think Darren Waller's a good fit for him, but I mean, I'm still just not a fan of paying Daniel Jones that type of money. But
Yeah.
their receiving core still sucks, though. Is the thing.
Yeah. No,
I
it's
mean,
definitely still bad. I mean, you add Waller. Is he going to stay healthy? I mean, he's athletic. He's as athletic as a tight end gets in the NFL.
yeah.
But I mean,
I
if you're
mean,
just going to rely on doing that and then dump downs to Saquon, what are you really going to do? I mean,
no. I mean, you
you
have.
overpaid for Kenny Galladay.
Mm-hmm,
Doesn't want to be there anymore. All the
yep.
fans hate him.
For right reasons too. I mean, he's
Yeah,
just
I
been
mean,
terrible.
I think
He was getting
he. I
paid
think.
like 22 million a touchdown, I think is what I saw, or something around there, because he got paid like however much money and only had like $44 million and only had 2 touchdowns. Like
Yeah,
it was
it's
unreal.
another one of
But
those guys ever paid for.
yeah, dude. But I mean, their wide receiver core, you're looking at Sterling Shepard, you're looking at Isaiah Hodgins, Darius Slayton. So I mean, some okay. Wandale Robinson was decent at the end of last year, like okay at best. No, none of those guys are wide receiver ones. I will say this though, Jalen Hyatt was I think a
I've heard he's
steal
been
in the
tearing it
draft.
up. Oh yeah.
And yeah, did you hear how fast he ran on like the in pads and everything the other day at practice?
No, but I saw a video of him doing like a skinny post, catch a
Mhm.
touchdown, and he absolutely cooked the quarterback. Absolutely
Yeah,
cooked.
he fastest speed ever recorded in full pads, and it was 24 miles an hour,
Good
which was
Lord.
zero point 0.9 miles an hour faster than Tyreek Hill's, like than the second place, which was Tyreek Hill at some point. But like the difference between like third and like eighth is like zero point 0.4, and he was zero point 0.9 from second to
Yeah.
first. Like unreal.
Still can't
And
believe he was a third rounder.
oh, dude, I saw like some mocks with like trying to fit him in that like initial like tier 3 wide receivers with Johnston, Addison, and Smith and Jigba. So like
Yeah. I mean,
I
it's
don't think he
crazy.
should have fallen. I know Detroit picked when we picked. It wasn't when we picked Brian Branch. It was when we picked Hendon Hooker, and Jalen Hyatt was still on the
Yeah.
board. And I was like, please, please, please. And I'm okay with the Hendon Hooker pick, but I was hoping, I was like, there's no way Jalen Hyatt should have fallen this deep. But
Yeah.
dude, he could be an animal. And I will say that Daniel Jones, from Brian Dable's perspective, he went into Buffalo, and Josh Allen was very turnover prone when he took that over, right?
Mhm.
And he got Josh Allen to basically eliminate his turnovers.
Yeah.
And Daniel Jones from 2 years ago to last year cut down on his turnovers a lot. And you also look at what Josh Allen has done this past year is he started turning the ball over more. So you look at like the common denominator here, and it's Brian Dable. So whatever he's doing is helping his quarterback turn the ball over less.
Mhm.
And so maybe what he sees is a freak athlete with, just a lot of size and the ability to just, get downfield. And maybe he sees that, maybe he sees some more read options coming with Saquon. I don't know. But it's going to be interesting to see what the Giants do. I know we touched on the Cowboys. From the Eagles' perspective, dude, they're going to be elite this year again. I see them, to be quite honest, running the NFC this year.
Yeah, no, I think for them again, I think it's Super Bowl or bust. They are
Mm-hmm.
that good, and they added great pieces again. I mean, you look at their defense, and their defense is literally the University of Georgia.
Yep.
They got
From
another
two
steal
years
in the
ago.
draft.
Yeah. From two
They're
years ago
just,
when
I
it was the
mean,
best college defense we've ever seen, right? When it was
yeah,
like they're scoring more touchdowns than points they're giving up. Like,
insane. I mean, there's no way in my mind. I mean, I don't see a team in the NFC that really can compete with them head to toe,
I
11v11. I just don't see one team.
the 49ers are the closest it gets, and I think that Brock Purdy has to make some big strides from last year to this year. Not that he was bad last year, but just that
Mhm.
if you want to compete with the Eagles, you have to make those strides. But I will say they lose C.J. Gardner-Johnson to the Lions, who was a big aspect of that, right? Now they add Jalen Carter, right? They add Keely Ringo and like pick 108 or something,
Yeah,
insane value. They also get Nolan Smith.
who's been tearing it
Um,
up.
yeah. So I mean, they're building this really really good core defensively, and I don't want to mess with that defensive like front of having Hassan Reddick in there, having Fletcher Cox, having Jalen Carter in there, not even mentioning we lost him there, but not even mentioning Jordan Davis. Um, that Eagles team is just going to be pretty filthy. But I'll tell you what, the AFC East is a division that I'm looking at, and I don't want to like even get involved with, with when it comes to choosing a winner, because there's just so much unknown. As we'll try to get Nick, and he said his computer died. He'll be back in a second. No. But I mean, looking at this AFC East, you have the Jets in here who are just there's just so much up in the air, right? We don't even Dalvin Cook might end up going there. You have Aaron Rodgers, you're throwing him into the mix. He brings Alan Lazard with him. Garrett Wilson's making a jump into his second year. You would expect that to be big, right? But we don't know how big. Um, so I think there's a lot of unknown around that and how they're going to do. How is their offense going to be? Is Brees Hall going to be back healthy? What's that going to look like? And then also you look at here we go. Nick's back in. I mean, you look at though outside of the Jets, you have the Patriots who add Juju Smith-Schuster. I don't think they're going to be much of anything, but you look at the Bills, good, but last year definitely was a little bit of a drop off as to the level that they have been playing at, right? So I mean, AFC East is just going to be crazy altogether. Nick, are you on? Can you hear me? Oh, we lost him again. But the AFC East is just going to be crazy. I mean, and then also looking at you have the Dolphins in there, who I didn't even talk about at all, but their offense is going to be elite, right? We already know that. Tua's just going to sling it. McDaniels just loves he's just a character, but great head coach. He's going to scheme Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle open. And we all know when they get the ball in their hands, they're dangerous. So that entire division, I'd see them putting at least 2 teams in the playoffs, maybe even 3. I don't know. It depends on how good the Jets are, but the battle in the AFC for those wild card spots is going to be just absolutely crazy. There's Nick. We'll get him back in. There you go. No worries. I'm just out here ranting about the AFC East and how crazy it's going to be.
Yeah, I just wanted to give you a little time to rant.
Hey, I appreciate it, dude. But to fill you in what I'm saying, I mean, the Jets is so much unknown. You have Alan Lazard, Aaron Rodgers. Is Breece Hall going to be healthy? Are they getting Dalvin Cook? Speaking of Dalvin Cook, is Miami going to get Dalvin Cook? Like, the AFC East is just, a lot of stuff going on. The Bills.
Very fun division.
Yes, very fun division. The Bills, to be quite honest, I think they're facing a possibility of like a huge drop off this year. Josh Allen turned the ball over more than he has in a while last year. And then you also have the aspect of, do you remember how pissed off Stephon Diggs was last year at the end of their season?
Oh yeah. Like, when I remember, like, it was yesterday watching them versus the Bengals on the sideline when he went up to him and told me, give me the effing ball. I mean, you do got to throw him the ball. He's your best receiver. You're paying him millions of dollars. But it came to the point in the year where Josh Allen was kind of trying to do everything himself. And I think that's where the turnovers kind of started to come into fruition. And he was turning into, like we said earlier about Dak, a Madden quarterback. He was trying to do everything with his legs, roll out to the pocket, and sometimes you got to stay in the pocket, be composed. You got a cannon for an arm. You're going to be able to find your best receivers.
Yeah, well, and you have to try to. You have to kind of force that issue, right? And I think that's the issue with Josh Allen is he forces the issue of making the highlight play instead of forcing the issue and getting the ball to his guy that can make the highlight play, right? Just dump the ball off to Diggs for 12 yards. You don't have to sling it to Gabe Davis for 50, right? I mean, just let Stephon Diggs work his magic and pick up first down after first down. I mean, so the Bills, I could very much see that team blowing up midseason because there's just a lot of stuff there that even Stephon Diggs, he put it behind him, right? Did he? Right? Did he? Because
he refused to go to OTAs.
Yeah, it's still in his mind, right? Even if he comes back and plays and it's completely fine, it's still in the back of his mind. So when Josh Allen doesn't throw him the ball 2 times last year, maybe that doesn't piss him off. Now it puts him over the edge, right? I mean, I'm not saying we're going to see an Antonio Brown type of incident, but
you never know because Stephon Diggs has the same type of attitude and ego about him.
If I had to pick one wide receiver that would do that this year, it would be Stephon Diggs, just because of the situation. And in all honesty, he should be pissed off. Last year, fantasy wise, he was the number 1 wide receiver weeks 1 through 9, and then fell off because Allen quit throwing him the ball as much.
Yeah.
So from his perspective, it's like, every time you throw me the ball, I produce. Why would you not throw me the ball? And so I think the Bills really, I think they're the favorite. I don't know. I'll pull up the odds real quick.
I feel like they have to be, right? And then the Dolphins. I would assume the Dolphins and the Jets are a very close second.
So it is Bills at plus 130, Jets, Dolphins both at plus 250, plus 275. And then Patriots at plus 750. So Bills are
you can throw the Patriots out the window.
They're trash.
But yeah, I don't know. The Bills, it's interesting, especially because you add a great tight end and Kincaid. So you're looking at adding him, and then you also have Dawson Knox, and like you said, you have Gabe Davis. Yes, it's good to put all these weapons around your core weapon and Stephon Diggs, but from what it's been like in training camp, it's kind of seeming that Josh Allen is falling in love with his 2 tight ends. And that's just going to cause even more drama.
Right. Which I'm not saying that you can't develop chemistry, right? But when there's several reports saying that his favorite target is Dalton Kincaid, that's kind of scary because if Diggs
Not great.
if Diggs leaves this team, this offense is very mid. To be quite
Yeah,
honest
no,
with you.
100%.
Like I would
Because
say,
you're getting rid of your number one target that, all of your number one cornerbacks are going to go after.
right, and you look at a number one corner guarding Gabe Davis, and Gabe Davis isn't going to do
Sauce
much.
Gardner would absolutely tear up Gabe Davis. It wouldn't even be fair.
And so would Jalen Ramsey, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
it just wouldn't be
it's
fair.
not going to be close. So like, you need Stephon Diggs to be, in the right headspace, to be committed to your team, and to be quite honest, what the Bills have been doing to him, showing him what Josh Allen's been like. The role Josh Allen's been giving Stephon Diggs in the offense is just not that. So, and I think that's going to be an issue. But dude, I want to talk about the Dolphins because the Dolphins, I think I am very high in the Dolphins because you look at what they did last year, very solid team. Offense erupted a lot, right? Tua's battling obviously the scary injury and then a few more injuries.
Yeah.
Praying, whether you're a Tua or Dolphins fan or not, you're praying it doesn't happen again this year, right? But what you're looking at is an offense that could make a huge step. I'll tell you what, I saw a video of Tyreek Hill today in against the I don't know what Falcons corner it was. I don't know if it was AJ Terrell or who, but he torched him. I mean, torched him. And Waddle's making a big jump into his third year now. He made a big jump into last year. Tyreek Hill getting a full offseason to work with to advance his chemistry now with Tua. Dude, this offense is going to be elite, I think.
Yeah, no, I agree. You look at the Dolphins, you said it best. They have probably two of the best and fastest receivers in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a crazy 1-2 punch that, you're throwing out on a Sunday. And, you look at most teams, who's going to be able to guard both?
Yep.
I mean, like you said, you have to keep Tua healthy. They've been trying their best with, the new helmets or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, trying to get him as much protection as possible.
I'm a big
And,
supporter
I
of those,
think
by
you
the way.
really I agree. I mean, they look a little bit goofy, but if it's keeping your quarterback from,
Yeah, and
getting 5 concussions in a season,
yeah,
it needs to be done.
I wouldn't be surprised if that begins to make its way into like games. Like I wouldn't like in 10 years from now, if I saw those helmets being used, like I don't know what they're called, but the ones with like the foam stuff on them, if I saw those being used
Oh,
in
yeah.
games, I wouldn't be surprised at all. Just because like
Oh, yeah, 100%.
I mean they do look kind of goofy, but I'm sure they'll find a way to like. And not that I'm saying they should be used, but in practice and in camp, especially because camp is when you have like 3 weeks of like hard hitting every day.
Yeah.
I think it's a great idea. But go ahead, continue with what you were saying about the Dolphins.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you look at the Dolphins, you look at honestly, you look at what they've done with the quarterback. They upgraded their quarterback room too.
Mm-hmm.
They got a legitimate backup, and I believe it's Mike White.
Yep.
I mean, you look at Mike White compared to what Teddy Bridgewater was. Teddy Bridgewater was basically you're putting a Band-Aid on an open wound. Like
Yep.
that's it. He was there to try to maybe level it, keep you around 500 where you can get in the playoffs or whatever. But he wasn't a guy where you can actually go out and get wins. That's the difference between Mike White and Teddy Bridgewater. I mean, I'm throwing a lot of high praise to Mike White right now, but when you've watched him the past couple of years with the Jets, they were always able to throw him in if Zach Wilson wasn't having a good game, and he would at least produce. I mean, you look at what he did against the Bengals. I want to say was 2 years ago or
Mm-hmm.
so. Like
It
he
was.
went off. He had the
Yeah.
best game of his career.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
he's a fundamental quarterback who was just slinging the ball around the yard. And I think that's huge for the Dolphins to get because, if you were to stay with Teddy Bridgewater again this year, I just don't think he was going to be the guy that if Tua did get hurt and was out for more than, 4 weeks, you were probably going to go downhill pretty fast.
Yeah, and especially I know we're talking a lot about backup quarterbacks, but when you're talking about a quarterback like Tua, who's had this injury, prone past, it's something that you have to think about, and it's clearly something that the Dolphins prioritized this offseason, right? Is Tua is very much an injury risk player, so we need to have a good backup, and they do have that in Mike White now. I will say also, Mike McDaniel is a great coach, Every
players coach.
Every encounter, every like video I see of him like encountering, Tua and the relationship they have is just hilarious, right? Like, when it's like 5 seconds before a snap and he's like, "Hey, Georgia's the best team in the SEC," right? Like just things like that.
Comedy.
It's just funny, yeah. And so you can tell that all of the players love playing for him, which I think that goes under the radar a lot. I'm not going to be a homer here, but I'm going to talk about it. Everybody loves playing for Dan Campbell too. So,
Yeah.
and you look
Oh, yeah.
at how Detroit was able to do last year, a team that really wasn't talented enough to compete for the playoffs, but they did because everybody was completely bought into the program. So you look at Miami, you have everybody completely bought into your head coach there, and you have a significantly more talented team. Dude, this offense is going to be dangerous. Also, I think Mike McDaniel kind of gives me the vibes of a younger Kyle Shanahan, how schematically genius, like how much of a schematic genius he is offensively.
It's crazy what he can draw up.
Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, the amount of times you see Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill in open space is like, how are you still letting them get open space? Well, it's because McDaniel.
Yeah, look back at the Thursday night game against the Bengals last year. The Bengals pulled out a W, but there was so many times in that game where you saw Jalen Waddle wide open across the middle, or you saw Tyreek Hill open deep on a skinny post or a flag. Like, he was always somewhere open down the field.
Yeah, I'm gonna look it up here. I'm trying to find Tyreek Hill's stat line against the Bengals that game because it was unreal. Oh, here it was.
It was crazy.
14 targets, 10 catches for 160 yards. I mean,
yeah,
just unreal,
he was
right?
always open.
Yeah, and the Bengals secondary wasn't terrible either. So that's the thing is, it's like, you're looking at. I mean, I'm not going to say that their secondary was spectacular. You had, I think, good safeties, right? But yeah, I mean, it is kind of funny. Eli Apple now is in Miami, right? Kind of
Did you see the interview of McDaniel? When there was a reporter who asked him, he's like, "So what about Apple?"
Oh,
he was like, "The fruit."
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, you mean Eli Apple?" Oh yeah, he'll play.
Yeah. What did you see?
Which
what
is
Tyreek
crazy.
Hill said?
No, I did not.
So they asked him about it, and he said, "Dude, I love it. Now I get to cook them every day in practice."
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. I mean, credit to the Dolphins. I mean, as much as people hate on Eli Apple, he had his moments.
Mm-hmm.
He's had his moments, and for him to be the replacement for Jalen Ramsey till he gets back, that's a pretty good, I'd say filler.
Yes.
For the meantime, till he gets back.
For what you were gonna find, it's a really
I
good
mean,
filler.
especially giving the time and when it happened. I mean, Eli Apple is he's not horrible, but I'd say he has his good enough moments to where he could fill that gap for as long as possible.
And you still have Xavier Howard, right? So it's Eli Apple isn't coming in and being he doesn't have to be your CB1. He's going to be your CB2 at best, right? So I think it's going to be all right. I mean, you also look at who you're playing. Buffalo, you're guarding Gabe Davis, who's not a bad. I guess I'll pull up the Dolphins schedule here to see.
I mean, if you look at it, he's got to guard Gabe Davis. He can handle that. I mean, he'll maybe have to guard Randall Cobb or
they play
Lazard.
Chargers week 1. So you're going to have a tough matchup there because you're going to have Johnston or Mike Williams or somebody, right?
Or Mike Williams, yeah.
You're going to have the Patriots, who, to be quite honest, off the top of my head, I can't even name their wide receiver too. And N'Keal Harry, is that who it is? I mean, because I know they have Juju.
It's either him or the dude who I don't know. He's already gone. I was say the guy that threw the ball away against the Raiders, but I'm pretty sure he's not even on the team.
Oh yeah, you're thinking of he went to Vegas. I know that. Man, this is Tyquan Thornton is their second receiver, by the way.
Well, there's not much he has to worry about then.
Raiders wide receivers. This is Jacoby Myers. That's his name.
Jacoby Myers.
But I mean, so you're looking at Tyquan Thornton as your second wide receiver against the Patriots. You go to Broncos, you're probably gonna have Cortland Sutton or probably Cortland Sutton, right? Which isn't bad. Yeah. Gabe Davis isn't bad. Giants receiving core is awful. Panthers receiving core. You're looking at DJ Chark or Adam Thielen, probably Adam Thielen, who's washed up, I think. And by the old. Eagles, Ramsey's probably back, right? Hopefully, because then you're gonna have to.
Yeah, I mean, you would hope so.
Right. But I tell you what, dude. I mean, this Miami. If we're looking at choosing a team where we got to choose to win this division, I'm going to take Miami. The Jets, I mean, kind of
Good
touching
pick.
on them, dude. It's crazy, right? Because this might be the most like unknown factors we've had coming into a season yet for a single team. You know what I mean? Like in recent
Yeah.
history. New quarterback, injured running back, you don't know when he's going to be back. There might be a new running back. You might have or you have a rookie receiver coming off of an elite and an offensive rookie of the year and an elite rookie year. Right? He won O'Roy, didn't he?
Yeah, he run O'Roy and then
And Sauce won DY.
Sauce won defense.
Yeah. So you have, your what jump is Garrett Wilson going to make, right? We assume it's big because typically with receivers, especially as talented as he is, you see that large jump. You have a new wide receiver 2 coming in. You have Elijah Moore going out. You have so many pieces just moving, and we haven't seen like any of them play together.
Yeah, I mean, you basically have the Green Bay Packers offense from last year, but now they're playing in a Jets uniform.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you
with
have
every weapon they brought over.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, you bring over Lazard. Did Cobb come over too? I know he wanted Cobb to come
Cobb
over.
came over as well. They signed Lazard to a 4-year and then Cobb to a 1-year.
Yeah. I mean, Cobb's washed up, to be quite honest, but
he is.
But
that's just because him and Aaron Rodgers are like that.
Yeah.
They're really good friends.
Yeah. But dude, I'll tell you what, this offense I'm expecting to be really good. This defense is going to be spectacular too.
Might be the best in the NFL.
It could be. Very, very well could be. You look at Quinnen Williams gets paid, right? And then you also have just Sauce Gardner is locked down. Obviously, you got the Bearcats in the background there. So obviously we're a little bit biased, right, towards Sauce. But I mean, you can't deny what he was last year.
Deserved. Mm-hmm. Well deserved.
Absolutely. So, dude, an absolutely burning hot take would be from me is that the Bills finished 3rd in this division.
Which is very, very possible.
It
could definitely happen.
If I were to say 4th, I think I might lose all credibility ever. I'm trying to say that the Patriots would finish over.
You might just have to stop doing what you're doing.
Yeah. But dude, I think they very easily could finish 3rd. Looking at the difficulty of the division, this could be the best division in football this year.
Yeah, no, I think it definitely has the possibility of doing that. I mean, you never know because you have the Patriots obviously now 4th with the plus 750, even have a chance to win the division. But they just brought in Bill O'Brien, and he's a really good offensive play caller.
Yep.
I mean, he obviously wasn't a great head coach or GM, but if you get him in the play calling on the offensive end, he might be able to get Mac Jones and obviously not be elite, but get him to that above average level where, he keeps his head on his shoulders. He's not yelling at his OC, like he was last year and all that. And you never know because the Patriots have a good enough defense to where they could possibly make a push. I'm not saying win the division, but maybe get lucky and sneak into the wild card and get a playoff.
No, it's a fair point. And the other thing too is when you're looking at, the Patriots could go 7-10, right? Yeah. At best, maybe 8-9 and try to sneak in. Probably not getting in with 8-9, especially in the AFC. But if you're looking at a team that could go 7-10, probably, I could see them really. Realistically, my prediction would be 5-12 to 6-11 for them. But you're looking at the worst team in your division with that record, dude. That's actually, that's a pretty good worst team, right? You look at the other divisions. You have, the AFC. Or the NFC East, obviously with Washington, who's just going to be really rough, right? They're going to get beat up on. You have the NFC North has Packers who are probably going to be pretty bad, right?
Packers, honestly, I think the Vikings probably won't be very good either.
I agree, dude. The Lions should win that division, to be quite honest, with how bad that division
is. They should be able to run away with that division, I think. I don't think the Bears are there yet. No. Maybe a year or two more. I think the Lions are on
the AFC North from top to bottom is really good. Obviously, the Bengals are that elite team, I think. But you have the Browns with Deshaun Watson all year and adding Elijah Moore. And you have the Steelers fixing some offensive line issues, getting Kenny Pickett into his 2nd year. I've heard a lot of good things about him in camp. And then you also have the Ravens with a healthy Lamar. They finally drafted a wide receiver. Finally.
And
And I mean, so I think it's going to be. I think it could be a really fun race. As a non-Bengals fan, it could be a fun race for you as a Bengals fan.
It should be pretty interesting.
Yeah.
You obviously start off week 1 at the Browns, and we have our best wide receiver telling Joe Burrow, "Yeah, don't worry about playing." Get it, but you obviously don't want to start off the year losing to the Browns and start like we did last year, starting off 0-2.
Yeah.
You don't want to do that.
No.
You don't want to do that.
No, and from like a team morale perspective, you really don't want to lose to the Browns, right? If you go lose to the Dolphins or you go lose to maybe not the Chiefs just because of the recent history, but the Eagles, right? You lose to a good team that you don't have beef with, to be quite honest. Like,
yeah,
morale's not going to be insanely down.
You're
You go
like,
lose to the Browns, right?
You're like, we just lost to in-state rival, a team that honestly has had our numbers the past couple of years.
Yeah,
which is wild. They have honestly, I don't know what our record is against them the past couple of years, but it hasn't been great. I know that for a fact.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. I think the NFC or the AFC North is going to be very competitive, though, from top to bottom. AFC West could be interesting, but I think the Raiders are going to fall off. I don't even know if Josh Jacobs will play this year, to be quite honest.
I could definitely see him sitting out, and this could probably be the last year of Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yep, and I see this. I could see Devontae Adams being dealt at the trade deadline, because that's how bad they are.
It'd be a smart move.
And what team doesn't want Devontae Adams, right? I mean,
yeah,
everywhere he's been a pretty solid locker room guy. He's not the type of dude that's going to go hold out. He's not the type of dude that's going to demand you pay him, miles ahead of where everybody else is at. And he's elite on the field every single time he steps there. So
I mean, you look at what he did with leaving Aaron Rodgers. He left one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL who had multiple MVPs to go play with his college quarterback and Derek Carr, and then they shelled him.
Yep.
That just kind of shows he's like, no, I'm not really here about the money.
Yep.
I don't have to play with the best quarterback. I'd rather play with somebody I know, somebody I've been playing with, and I think I give him respect for it because now he has to try to hold the Raiders afloat in that division. I just don't see it happening.
No, well, especially with the Chargers and the Chiefs in there too. I just don't.
That's another division that's just loaded up.
No, dude, it is. Like, I mean, the Broncos, you'd like to think are going to be better this year than they were. You have Sean Payton coming in, Russell Wilson. He can't be worse than he was last year, but Sean Payton's going to help him a lot. Dude, I saw a thing, and it's actually kind of funny. So the tweet said that Brandon Staley has got to be the worst coach to ever coach such an elite or just like such an absurdly talented roster. And I was sitting here thinking about it, right? And I'm like, Herbert, quarterback, elite. Austin Eckler, top 3 in the league. Herbert's probably top 7, right?
For sure.
Top 7,
definitely.
Top 3. Your wide receiver, you have Keenan Allen, who maybe can't really stay healthy, but when he's playing is elite. Mike Williams, elite wide receiver too.
Probably one of the best red zone wide receivers in the NFL.
Yep. And then you have a really good offensive line. Your defensive line is just absurd, right? You have Joey Bosa. You have I'm blanking. Khalil Mack.
I forgot they had Khalil Mack.
Like, why are you unable to? Not even mentioning you have Derwin James, right?
Yeah, it's wild that they just can't get over the hump.
Right. And
is that because of their woes in their division, or is that because they just can't go out and win the games they need to win?
Right. And the thing that's just weird too is like how much is Brandon Staley going to take the credit for? Because you look at like the game against Jacksonville is the one that stays in my mind, right? The playoff game.
Oh man.
When you're up 20, is it 27-3?
27-3.
And I don't care if it's you playing quarterback and me playing middle linebacker. You should you should win that game, coaching wise alone, right?
Yeah. Like it's absurd.
I think Brandon Staley has to take more credit for, and he took a lot of credit. I'm not trying to say he didn't take credit, but he took a lot of credit for it, but I think that he's got to start being held more accountable. I could see him on the hot seat if they start
Yeah,
2-5.
how long of a leash do you think they'll give him?
I don't know because
Let's say they make hypothetically. Let's say they make the playoffs,
Mhm.
which I think they can. I think they can sneak into the playoffs.
Yep.
I think they could possibly, make some waves. Well, let's say, they lose first round again. Obviously not in the way they lost, not like that again.
Yep.
But they do lose. How many more years do you think that they give?
Dude, I think that if you go this year without winning a playoff game, like making playoffs without winning, I think you have one more year of doing that, and then you're done. But I mean, I'm looking at the schedule right here. Start off with the Dolphins, very tough game. Will be a little bit on the harsh side. We'll say they lose that. They're going to beat the Titans. They're going to beat the Vikings. They're going to beat the Raiders. You're 3-1, 3-2 if you lose to. I'm going to assume between the Cowboys and Chiefs. We'll say they go 1-1 there.
I'd say they get one of those.
So then you would be what, 4-2, 5-2 against the Bears, probably
5-2.
So I mean, they're going to start off fine, but I'm just thinking that if they were to start off but with that, so we're looking at first 7 games. We're saying they should be 5-2 ish. If they start off 3-4, is he out?
I think there's definitely. I think every media platform and every analyst will definitely be talking about how they might need to start looking. And I think that's a very fair take to have.
No, it is. Yeah.
Shouldn't have that talented of a roster and not be able to produce.
No, I completely agree. You look at the teams that have been winning games in the playoffs. Like, let's not forget that like the Titans competed with the Bengals in the playoffs when the Bengals made the Super Bowl with Derrick Henry on one foot nearly.
And an old man and Ryan Tannehill could barely throw the ball.
Yep. A.J. Brown as the wide receiver was still there. Who was their wide receiver too? Don't ask me. I don't know. Right? And a mediocre defense at best. Like, you're looking at teams like that are coming out here and competing in the playoffs and doing basically the exact same thing as the Chargers, right? Competing but losing with a team that's like miles worse than the Chargers. So I do think that the question is going to start to be asked of, is Brandon Staley the issue here? Because clearly it's not the talent. But I know we kind of rambled off of the NFC, AFC East here. As we're wrapping this up, give me your top to bottom NFC East predictions here. Just don't need records, just standings.
Okay. So I'm going to obviously go with the Eagles up top.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go Eagles. I'm going to go Giants too. I think maybe we get a little bit of a different Daniel Jones. He got his money. They brought back at least Saquon for one more year, so maybe he uses that as like, all right, look, I got you one more year because with the way the running backs are now, you might not be here next year, so we'll do it one more year. And then I'll go Cowboys, and then I'm going to go Commanders at the bottom. I think they'll be terrible.
I think they're
I don't know why. Their quarterback is Sam Howell. I'm sorry, it's just no.
I think they're in the Caleb Williams backup.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think Sam Howell's he's an NFL backup for life. He's not a starter
at best.
Like you look at what he did in college. I mean, I don't want to ramble off of college, but for him to be the starter in the NFL is wild to me because he obviously had a great first 3 years. Came back for the fourth to try to prove that he was a top 10 pick, and then led his North Carolina team to barely 500.
Yeah, it was pathetic.
I just don't think. I mean, obviously under new ownership, they probably won't even be the Commanders here in a year or two.
Yeah, I did see.
From what I've heard, that group wants to change it. So
yeah.
I don't know. I just think that's a team you don't even have to worry about.
No.
If you have them on your schedule, get ready for a W.
Yep, I agree. I'm the exact same standings for you there. I think Brian Dable and the Giants can be better than the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys are just going to be. I think they're significantly overhyped. I think the difference between the Giants and the Cowboys is like a game, though. I don't think that's much at all, and I think those are very interchangeable.
Yeah.
To be quite honest, I don't think either team makes the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I think
But you look at the Cowboys. Now, I forgot to bring this up earlier, but you get rid of Zeke. There goes your power back.
Mm-hmm.
Tony Pollard runs hard. Not a power back.
No,
And then, like you said, your backup is a 5'5" Deuce Vaughn.
Yeah, I think Tony Pollard is better. Actually, last football season, I was on a podcast and said this to Alec and Cam, and they both looked at me like I was crazy. And I said, I think Tony Pollard is the better running back between him and Ezekiel Elliott. And I still think he is, but
yeah,
Ezekiel Elliott provided something that Pollard didn't have, which was a nice compliment to him, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know. But we'll go to AFC East here. We could go 0 for 3. We're gonna get one team right in this rankings of 4. I'm gonna assume.
Yeah, and that's probably that'll be the Pats.
Yeah. I'll tell you what. I think I'm gonna go with I'm gonna stick with my hot take from earlier. I'm going to rank the Bills at 3. So I'm gonna go Pats at 4, Bills at 3. I'm gonna have the Dolphins at 2, and I'm gonna have the Jets at 1. I hate Aaron Rodgers more than anybody on this planet, but I think that team is just so talented. The defense is just what sets it apart for me. I think the defense is great. What do you have as your rankings there?
So I'm going to agree with you, obviously, in the 4 spot, and I'm also going to agree with you in the 1 spot. But for another reason, I do love Aaron Rodgers. I think he's a great quarterback. He's a funny guy. He does what he wants.
Yeah.
And, he's just a damn good quarterback, too. Obviously, he's had his woes of winning in the playoffs, but he also has Super Bowl championships. So I think with this defense and the fact that this Jets defense is just getting better and better each draft, they keep getting these fantastic DNs to just complement Quinn Williams. I think that they finish 1, and I think that the Bills will be closely behind. And I think the Bills will probably be 2, and then I'll put Dolphins at 3. But like you said with the Cowboys and the Giants, I think that it'll probably be a game or 2 that separates the Dolphins and the Bills for 2.
I could see positions 1 through 3, right? So the Jets, Dolphins, and Bills all being separated by 1 to 2 games maximum. I think I view that one very similar to like the AFC North. That battle is good. Like the AFC East battles for 1st through 3rd is going to be very similar to that because all teams are the same level. I think they're all at their best, Super Bowl teams, at their worst, missing the playoffs by 1 or 2 games. The only issue is that they have to play each other twice, right?
Exactly. Literally, exactly. And that's where you're probably going to get that 1 to 2 game separation. But you look at it, only 1 out of those 3 teams we just talked about has really shown how good they are, and that's the Bills. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Jets do. I mean, they're a younger team. You add, obviously, some key pieces that are veterans. But what are they going to be able to do with this mesh of, younger guys compared to these vets? Can they mesh together and keep a good team chemistry, and a team chemistry that can actually get them to a playoff and possibly make a run?
Yeah. No, I completely agree. But either way, it's going to be fun to watch. Looking forward, though, so this is Football Frenzy week. So we have tomorrow's will be Wednesday. We'll probably do fantasy football again tomorrow. Thursday will be probably another breakdown of probably NFC, AFC North. And then Friday, I'm going to get probably 5 or 6 of you guys on here. Everybody that I've been cycling through, we're going to have everybody on here. We're going to do a big old fantasy football mock draft on Friday. So
love it.
Obviously pending people's different schedules that they might have, but hopefully we can get everybody on and do a big old mock draft there. But kind of to round out Football Frenzy week here. But other than that, this has been the Sports Geeks podcast on a little live stream here. Nick, thank you for joining me. It's been a pleasure. But until next time, guys.